Let's get ready to rumble!
What up, y'all? It's Dat Boy back with another edition of Throwdown Thursday. I hope everybody had a good turkey day, not only with the food, but obviously with your picks as well. We got NFL action going on. We got college football going on. We got some celebrity boxing to recap. Let's get to it. First, we're going to start off by recapping the NFL. If you want to fast forward to any different part of the episode, feel free to check the timestamp down in the description so you can just skip right to the stuff that you're looking for. All right, so the first Turkey Day game, the Texans absolutely steamroll the Lions, carrying on the tradition with the Lions getting pounded every Thanksgiving. And Matt Patricia got fired. Apparently, he wasn't great for the locker room, so I guess look, we'll bet on the Lions next week. So we're going to knock the Lions down a half point. We're going to knock the Texans up a half point. Making moves. And in the next game, the Washington Football Club absolutely pounded my Cowboys. Skins moving up a half point, and the Cowboys keep sliding back down. For the Sunday games, the Falcons absolutely waxed the Raiders, possibly showing the Raiders' true colors finally. Falcons get a point bump for getting the upset. Raiders are sliding down a full point for getting upset. The Bills officially have the worst Hail Mary defense in the league, but due to the Chargers' ineptitude at the end of the game, they still get the win and the cover. Bills moving up a half point for getting the cover. Chargers sliding back down a half point for not getting the cover. Giants edge out the Joe Burrow-less Bengals. I don't think I'm going to change the power rankings on these teams just because I probably should bump up the Bengals half a point, but they don't have Burrow, so what's the point? Titans steamrolled the Colts, getting an early lead and never looking back. Derrick Henry goes for over 180 yards. Titans actually get the upset, so we're going to knock them up a point, and we're going to knock the Colts down. Next up, the Panthers absolutely control this entire game until Kirk Cousins comes down for the game-winning drive to win by a point. However, the Panthers did cover, so we're going to knock the Vikes down a half point, and we'll knock the Panthers up a half point. The Cardinals can't get the offense going, and the Patriots find a way to edge them out by a field goal at the end. Pats getting the upset, move up half a point, and the Cards, after everybody thought they were the greatest team in the world, lose 2 straight, so they're going back down. And the Jets still don't have a win, getting blown out by the Dolphins. Jets slide down a half point. Dolphins go up a half point. The Browns stop a 2-point conversion by the Jags to get the win and move to a very fraudulent 8-3. Even though the Browns got the win, we're still knocking them down a half point. The Jags getting the cover, get to move up a half point. In an absolute shit show of a game with the Broncos not having a quarterback, the Saints absolutely demolish them. Still don't know why I didn't bet on the Saints in this game. Scared. Saints moving up another half point, even though they don't have Breeze. And I don't know if I should move the Broncos down. They really just didn't have a QB. And then for probably the best game of the day that went back and forth the whole time, the Niners edge out the Rams. We're giving Niners the full point bump for getting the upset. We're going to slide the Rams down a point for getting upset. Pat Mahomes officially took the belt of best QB in the league from Tom Brady, throwing for 462 yards to get the win against the Bucks. This game was basically a push though, so I'm not going to affect the power rankings here. And in the night game, even though the Bears finally scored over 20 points, it still was not enough to stop Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So we're going to slide the Bears back down a half a point. Packers are getting a half point bump. In the Monday night game, Russell Wilson gets it done again against this just underperforming Eagles team. This game was also pretty much a push, so we're not going to do anything with the power rankings on this one. And in the wacky Wednesday game where the Ravens don't have Jackson and a bunch of other key players, the Steelers just edge them out by 5. Again, good win by the Steelers. It's just that I'm not going to affect the power rankings here when the Ravens are missing so many key dudes. So here are the power rankings for moving into week 13. We're down to the final stretch of the season where teams are either jockeying for position to get into the playoffs or trying to tank to get the number 1 overall pick. Let me know what you think about the rankings and definitely leave your opinions in the comments. All right, that's it for the NFL recap from last week. Let's go ahead and take a look at the lines coming up this week. No Thursday night game this week, so we're looking at the Sunday game, starting off with Tennessee and Cleveland. Tennessee is 5th in total score, 6th in yards per play. Browns are 1st in rushing and almost last in passing when it comes to yards. Defensively, both teams are in the bottom third of the league. For the Browns, Garrett is upgraded to probable for Sunday. Ward is still out though. For the Titans, Clowney is on the IR. All right, so I got the Browns at -0.5 point and then +0.5 for their injuries. I got the Titans at -5. +1 for their injuries and then -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Titans by 5. Vegas opened up this game with Titans -3. Now it's -6 or -5.5 depending on which book you're looking at. Yeah, I think this spread's about right. I mean, the Browns are still a solid team. They are 8-3. They're definitely winning games. They've definitely been blessed with a weak schedule so far. But Cleveland definitely seems fraudulent. Although my numbers on this game are pretty much about the same as what Vegas has. I don't know if I really see an edge in this. I think the number's about right. So probably going to stay off this one. Next up, we got the Texans hosting the Colts. Colts are actually 9th in scoring offense right now, while the Texans are 17th, which is odd. I think Texans would have a better offense with Deshaun Watson back there. And defensively, it looks like the Colts have slid a little bit, going to 9th. They're still 7th in yards per play, and Houston has one of the worst defenses in the league. Rivers is probable on Sunday. I guess he hurt his little piggy. They're missing a tackle. A couple other players questionable. Jonathan Taylor's upgraded to probable. Texans are missing a couple players. Fuller's out for the season with a suspension. All right, so I got the Colts at -3, +1 for their injuries. I got the Texans at +1, +2 for their injuries, -1 for being at home, and -1 for getting the extended break plan from last Thursday. My spread on the game are the Colts -3. Vegas actually opened this up with Texans -2. Now it's pretty much moved to Colts -3.5, -3, depending on which book you're looking at. Yeah, Colts are a solid team, but not a team I really feel comfortable laying a lot of points with. They don't really have an explosive offense, and they have a QB in Rivers that'll definitely turn the ball over. Texans are also kind of a dangerous team to bet against. They got Deshaun Watson back there that can hit a backdoor cover. My numbers on this game are pretty much right. I don't feel like there's any edge, so I'm probably going to stay off this one. Next up, we got the Bears hosting the Lions. Both teams are definitely in the bottom third when it comes to offense. Defensively, Detroit is one of the worst in the league, while the Bears are in the top 10 in scoring offense and 11 in yards per play. For Detroit, Amendola is questionable. Galladay is questionable. Tons of players questionable for the Lions. Foles is doubtful at QB for the Bears. Looks like we're going to get some more Mitch Trubisky. Khalil Mack is questionable. All right, so I got the Lions at +3.5, +2 for their injuries, and then -1 for coming off the long break playing on Thursday. I got the Bears at 0, +2 for their injuries, and then -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Bears by 3.5. Vegas opened up this game with the Bears at -5.5. Now it's been moved down to a field goal. Detroit doesn't look good. They're banged up. They're missing their head coach. However, whenever a team gets their head coach fired is usually when they come out the next game and absolutely crush it. My numbers are pretty much right on this one, but with that edge getting their coach fired, I don't know why it happens every time a coach gets fired, but teams automatically play better. And right now, I don't really have a problem betting against the Bears with Mitch Trubisky as their quarterback. Let's go Lions. Next up, we got the Vikings hosting the Jags. Looks like Glennon is still going to be the quarterback for the Jags. They got a few other players questionable. DJ Chark is questionable. Gardner Minshew is available if they need him. For the Vikings, Thielen is probable. A few other players questionable. All right, so I got the Jags at +7 and then +1 for their injuries. I got the Vikes at +2, +0.5 a point for their injuries, and then -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Vikes by 6.5. Vegas opened up this game with the Vikings -11. Now it's down to 10 or 10.5, depending on where you look. My numbers tell me to go with the Jags right here, but just because they kept it close against the Browns doesn't mean they're going to keep it close against everybody. There are many things in life that I am careless about with my money. I can lose it in a lot more fun ways than throwing it on Jacksonville. The Vikes just had a really cool win over the Panthers, getting the comeback, but I'm not laying 2 scores against anybody with the Vikings right now. Hard pass on this game. Next up, we got the Raiders playing at the Jets. Do not need to analyze this game. This spread is under 10 points. I am taking the Raiders right now. Next up, we got the Falcons hosting the Saints. Breeze still out indefinitely. Still missing a guard. Ty Montgomery has still got a hamstring issue. For the Falcons, Jones and Gurley are both questionable, but they're pretty light on injuries after that. All right, so I got the Saints as a -7, but +6 for not having Breeze. And I got the Falcons at 0, +0.5 point for their injuries, but -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Saints by half a point, so pretty much a pick 'em. Vegas opened up this game with the Falcons +3. It's pretty much stayed that way. It's +2.5 at some places. All right, so this Falcons team finally came out and got a huge win against a good Raiders team last week. They blew them out. The Saints have been holding on without Breeze, and they did this last year too with Bridgewater in there. I mean, the Saints are a good overall team. That's why I have such a high power ranking for them. They can win even when Breeze isn't in there, but this team is not the same without Breeze. Falcons have been playing decent football here and there. I think with the Falcons being at home and no Breeze, I gotta take the Falcons here. But betting on the Falcons makes me feel very uncomfortable. Screw it. I'm going to do it anyway. Gambling. Next up, we got the Dolphins hosting the Bengals. No real need to analyze this game. I mean, a double-digit spread in the NFL is crazy, but at the same time, I'm not going to bet on the Bengals because they don't have Joe Burrow, so I'm just going to pass on this one anyway. If you choose this one, hey, good luck for you. Next up, we got the Seahawks hosting the Giants. Seahawks, one of the best offensive teams in the league. Giants, one of the worst. Now, defensively, this is surprising. The Giants are 10th in total score and 14th in yards per play. They're 5th in rushing yards allowed. Seattle, on the other hand, they do a good job stopping the run, but they ain't stopping anything else. For the Giants, it looks like Colt McCoy is expected to start. I didn't even know he was still in the league. For Seattle, it looks like Carlos Dunlap is questionable, even though he just got there. And they have a bunch of other players questionable. I got the Giants at +5 and then +3 for Daniel Jones going down. I got Seahawks at -5, +1 for their injuries, -1 for being at home, but +1 for coming off the short week playing on Monday night. My spread on the game are Seahawks by 12. So this game opened up with Seahawks by 7.5. Now it's been moved up to 10. I think it's still 7.5 in some places, but I don't think they've accounted for the Daniel Jones injury yet. Yeah, if this spread was still down at 7.5, I would take it in a heartbeat. But as soon as it goes up to double digits, that's when it gets tricky. Russell Wilson's typically cash for me, but I mean, once that spread gets up to double digits, that's usually pretty tough. So probably going to stay off this one, unfortunately. Next up, we got the battle for the NFC West with the Cards hosting the Rams. Rams are in the middle third when it comes to offense. Arizona is 8th in scoring, 7th in yards per play. Defensively, the Rams are 4th in total score and 1st in yards per play. Meanwhile, the Cardinals are kind of just a mediocre defense. Rams got a bunch of players on the IR and out. I don't know how many of these are new, though. Kind of the same story with the Cards. They got a bunch of players questionable on the IR and out. All right, so I got the Rams at -5 and the Cards at -1.5 and then -1 for being at home. Didn't calculate injuries because it seemed like they had somewhat similar injury reports. A bunch of people out or on the IR, but no huge key players. So my spread on the game are the Rams by 2.5. The spread opened up with the Rams by 1.5. Now it's moved to a field goal. Yeah, a field goal seems about right. It seems like the Rams have been playing a little bit better football than the Cardinals have recently. It seems like they have a little bit more talent. This NFC West is absolutely crazy, especially with the Niners keep getting upsets randomly here and there. It's definitely going to be a fun one to watch, but I think I'm going to stay off when it comes to betting on this one. Next up, we got the Chargers hosting the Patriots. Patriots, one of the worst scoring offenses in the league. The Chargers are kind of in the middle of the pack. Defensively, Pats are kind of middle of the pack, and then the Chargers give up some of the most points in the league. Edelman is still out for the Pats. Burkhead is out. A lot of the same injuries going on for the Chargers. Ingram's on the IR. All right, so I got the Pats at +3.5, +1 for their injuries. I got the Chargers at +5.5, +2 for their injuries, and -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are the Pats by 2. Vegas opened up with the Chargers -2.5. Now it's flipped to either +1 or a pick'em. You know, I've been looking for opportunities to bet against the Patriots, but they burned me last week. This Chargers team can't get it together. This head coach is probably on the chopping block. The Chargers being banged up and not being able to finish games, and it's a pick'em. I'm definitely leaving on the Pats in this one. Belichick, let's go. Next up, we got the Packers hosting the Eagles. Eagles, one of the worst offenses in the league. Packers, #1 in scoring, #4 in yards per play. Defensively, though, the Eagles are finally getting a little bit better on defense. They're middle of the pack in total score, but they're 5th in yards per play. Green Bay's gotten slightly better. They're 19th in total score and 21st in yards per play, but those numbers were worse before. With the Eagles, Ertz is questionable. They're missing a tackle. They got a bunch of other players questionable and a bunch of players on the IR. Packers are missing a guard, missing a center. All right, so I got the Eagles at +2 for their injuries, then +1 for coming off a short week playing on Monday. I got the Packers at -5.5, +1.5 for their injuries, -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Packers by 10. Vegas opened up this game at -7 for the Packers. Now it's jumped to 8.5, 9 in some places. Man, I wish I would have got it when it opened up. I definitely would have taken the Packers as a touchdown favorite, but as soon as it gets over a touchdown, that's where it gets kind of tricky. Thought I had the Eagles last week, but then they come back to get a push. With this Eagles team playing a little bit better on defense, even though they're not winning, I don't feel like betting against them with that many points, especially with the Packers defense. And then Packers games that I've watched, it seems like the Packers get out to a big lead and then the defense will give up some yards. I think I'm going to stay off this one, even though I really want to bet against the Eagles. And in the Sunday night matchup, hopefully we have a quarterback for each team. We know the Chiefs got one, but will the Broncos have one? So the spread on this game is 2 touchdowns. It's going to be very simple for me. If the Broncos still don't have a QB, I'm taking the Chiefs -1,000,000. We got a doubleheader on Monday night with the Steelers hosting the Skins. Steelers are 6th in total score, even though they're 24th in yards per play. The Skins have one of the worst offenses in the league. Both teams are pretty stout defensively, though. The Skins are 7th in total scoring, 4th in yards per play. Pittsburgh has the #1 total scoring defense in the league, and they're 3rd in yards per play. Skins have a ton of players that are questionable. The Steelers are out Bud Dupree for the season, and they've already been missing Devin Bush. Their linebacker trifecta is dwindling fast. All right, so we got the Skins at +6, +0.5 point for their injuries, and then -1 for getting the long break playing on Thursday. I got the Steelers at -8, +2 for their injuries, and then +1 for playing on a short week doing that Wednesday game. My spread on the game are Steelers by 10.5. Vegas opened up this game with 9.5, and it's not even on most books yet. It looks like it's about 8.5 right now. Losing Bud Dupree was huge for the Steelers. They're already down one stud linebacker. Now they're down another one. The Steelers had the most intimidating pass rush in the league with Dupree and Watt coming off the edge. Dupree's out for the season. Watt's been kind of banged up all year. So I'm definitely not as high on the Steelers anymore with that happening. I think they still have a solid defense, but they're not great on either side of the ball with missing those key players. After coming off that short week and the injury, I'm just going to stay off this one. And the second part of the doubleheader, we got the Niners hosting the Bills. Bills are top 10 in scoring, 8 in yards per play. San Francisco's more in the middle third of the league. Defensively, I kind of expected more out of the Bills this year. They're in the bottom half of the league. Niners, on the other hand, are pretty decent, 11th in total scoring and 10 in yards per play. Buffalo's missing John Brown. Other couple players questionable, but they're healthy for the most part. And then in the always fun edition of who's playing for the Niners this week, Garoppolo's still on the IR, so is Ansah. They have a corner suspended. Coleman's questionable. Kittle's on the IR. But hey, they're more healthy than they typically are. All right, so I got the Bills at -5, -0.5, and then +2 for their injuries, -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are the Bills by 3.5. This line opened up with the Niners +2.5. Now it's been bet down to +1. My numbers tell me to go with the Bills here, but every time I lay points with the Bills, they give me a freaking heart attack. Their Hail Mary defense is absolutely atrocious. Apparently everybody on their team is 4'11 and can't jump. I really want to take the Niners in this situation, but they're really not getting the points that I'm looking for. I mean, Buffalo has been a better overall team this year than the Niners. The Niners have been banged up. They are a little bit healthier than they are. That's why I was looking to take them. Even if the numbers matched, I was going to take the Niners, but nah, I got to stay off this one too. And we get a Tuesday game this week. The Ravens versus the Cowboys. Neither team might have a quarterback. No line on the game yet. I guess we'll keep you posted. All right, so last week in the NFL, I went 4-2-1 with the Seahawks just pooping away a cover right at the end. And so now I'm floating right below 500 for the year. Need to have a good week to get on top. Here are the games that I'm looking at this week. Not a whole lot of lines that I liked. I think 3 of these games are just betting on one team because the other team doesn't have a quarterback because they're injured or have the cooties. I guess I'm going to look for some over-unders to lose money on this weekend too. But here's what I'm looking at for the upcoming week. All right, that's it for the NFL. Let's go ahead and take a look at college football this week. All right, last week in the NCAA, I spent too much time cooking and doing other stuff. I didn't get time to get any other picks in, so I went 1-0. Iowa State, good looking out, chipping away at this large deficit. So in these college lines, to start off, it looks like Texas A&M is a 7-point favorite over Auburn. I definitely want to pick a team to bet against this A&M team, but Auburn is not the team to do it. Bo Nix is just not my guy. I'm not going to lay 7 with A&M, but I ain't betting on Bo Nix. I'm going to pass on this one. Texas is a touchdown favorite over K-State. That line seems about right too. Oklahoma State is only a 1 or 2.5 point favorite over TCU. I mean, this game's a pretty low line. I feel like Oklahoma State's definitely a better team than TCU. I think I might roll with Mike Gundy and the Mullets this week. Purdue is a 2-point favorite over Nebraska. Nebraska's definitely fallen. Ohio State is a 23.5 point favorite over Michigan State. Hopefully they play this game, and I better grab it now before it goes to 24 points. Ohio State, only team I can trust. Penn State is an 11-point favorite over Rutgers. Why is Penn State getting a double-digit spread over somebody? They have not looked good at all. I guess they did beat Michigan. Cincinnati's only a 3.5 point favorite over Tulsa. This definitely seems like a trap game because Cincinnati has been pretty much blowing out everybody. Although it looks like Tulsa's been winning a lot of games too, and they've been covering a lot. I don't care. This Bearcats team has been rolling. It's not a huge spread. I'm taking the Bearcats. I don't know a whole lot about Tulsa, but I don't know if they're better than the SMUs and Memphises that Cincinnati blew out. So I'm going with the Bearcats. Wisconsin is a 2-touchdown spread over Indiana. Indiana's been playing well this year, but their star quarterback is out, tore his ACL. He's done for the year. Without their QB, I definitely feel like Wisconsin's going to steamroll them, and I think I actually might take Wisconsin in this spot right now. Indiana was rolling on teams because they had a stellar offense, but without their star QB, they're just not going to be able to put up much. Alabama is a 30-point favorite over LSU. I keep not betting on Alabama. I keep saying I'm going to do it regardless how big the spread is. I'm just doing it this week. This LSU team, not very good this year. This Alabama team, explosive. Roll Tide. Looks like Arizona State is a 3-point favorite over UCLA. That one's pretty tough. I kind of want to take UCLA. They seem like they're a little bit better than they have been in the past, but it's hard to go against the Fighting Herm Edwards. And Utah has not won a game yet. However, Oregon State just lost their starting quarterback. So I don't know enough about Oregon State. I don't know how much better the starter is over the next guy. Oregon State seems like the play here, but I don't know. I just don't know enough about the Pac-12 right now with them starting so late. So probably going to pass on this one too. All right, so here are some of the games I'm looking at in college football so far. Probably add a couple more to this. There's some other games that seem close. Here's what I'm looking at. So that's it for college football. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that boxing match that happened last weekend. So the headline of the fight was actually Tyson versus Jones, which is kind of what I thought it would be. A couple of old boxers past their prime. They did their best to put on a good show. It's definitely interesting. It's always fun watching Tyson walk around the ring looking to murder somebody. But the highlight of the evening was something a little bit different. Ooh. Airball. Whap. Down goes Robinson. I literally have no idea how a professional athlete like Nate Robinson can go down to just some regular dude that just started a fighting career out of nowhere. But hey, props to Jake Paul for absolutely giving it to Nate Robinson for sure. I guess this dude wants to go on and be a fighter, and he even said he wanted to fight Conor McGregor. But yeah, I was dead wrong on that one. I thought Nate Robinson was going to wash him, but there was a reason Jake Paul was the favorite. And so for the props, you can bet on who Jake Paul is going to fight next. Dylan Dennis, KSI, his brother. LeBron James is even in there. There's odds on who Tyson will fight next. You got Holyfield, Lewis, Riddick Bowe. All right, y'all, that's definitely it for Throwdown Thursday. Definitely leave your picks in the comments, and may the gambling gods bless you this weekend. Have a good one, y'all.